Hi, good evening, brothers and sisters in the Dharma. Today is Friday, 15th of January, and here we are, MCO all over again. Happy New Year, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Gina, and I'll be your host for tonight. Today we have excellent Dharma sharing. Let me introduce to you the title, yeah? Today's Dharma sharing is by Bhante Wallasmulle, Bhaddiya Thera, and he's from Sri Lanka. Today's sharing is entitled Acelaka, Vagga Nikaya, the discourse on the three types of practices. So brothers and sisters, during the MCO is a good time to listen to the Dharma because it will generate us a lot of good merit as well as pave us towards the path of cultivation. So let me bring on Bhante, and then I will do a short introduction on him. Okay, hold on. Sugihontu Bhante.
Sugihontu.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Bhante, what time is it over there in Sri Lanka?
It is sharp at 6:05. 6:05.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Now it's about 8:30 Malaysian time, and we have about 25 listeners with us. Okay, let me introduce Bhante to everyone. This is a short profile write-up of Bhante Wallasmulle Bhaddiya Thera. Bhante is a 32 years old Sri Lankan Buddhist monk who was ordained in the year 2001 at the Puvarama Vihara in Āgāḻhā, Sri Lanka. Bhante obtained his higher ordination in the year 2009 at the same monastery. Bhante then obtained his Bachelor of Arts honors first class in Buddhist philosophy from the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka in the year 2015. He also obtained a postgraduate diploma in counseling from the Faculty of Education, University of Colombo in the year 2019. Wow, Bhante, long list, yeah? And then Bhante went on to obtain a postgraduate diploma or a Master of Arts in TESOL, Teaching of English as a Second Language in the year 2019 from the Open University of Sri Lanka. Bhante Bhaddiya Thera also obtained a Master of Arts degree in Buddhist Studies from the University of Kelaniya in 2018. Right now, currently, Bhante is an assistant lecturer in Buddhist philosophy at the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies from the same university, University of Kelaniya, and he is also a lecturer for the Diploma in English at the Postgraduate Institute of the Buddhist and Pali University. Bhante, such a long list. Sadhu.
Oh.
Yeah. So, today Bhante is going to speak on the Dhamma sharing entitled Acelaka Vagga, discourse on the three types of practices. Okay, so without further ado, I will remove myself and let Bhante do the sharing. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, Sugihontu. As well, I wish you all a happy new year. This is the very first time in 2021 we are meeting with a new Dhamma discussion. However, today, without wasting the time, I hope to start our Dhamma discussion. Actually, today the topic given for me is about Acelaka Vagga in Anguttara Nikaya. Actually, first of all, I would like to say you something about this Acelaka Vagga, because when it comes to Chatta Sanghayana or PTS version, we can see this Acelaka Vagga in that form, but when it comes to BJS or Buddha Jayanti Tripitaka series, we come across the term as paṭipadā Vagga. However, this is a very essential and very important sutta, especially not only for laymen, but also for monks also, for the clergy people also. This is a very essential as well a very exemplary discourse preached by the Buddha. Actually, already you know, we are going to discuss about 3 types of practices. In Anguttara Nikaya, here we are studying or we are examining about Tikka Nipāta. That means 3 types of things are included in Tikka Nipāta. In the Tikka Nipāta, these 3 types of practices also can be seen. I am given 2 days to discuss about this Acelaka Vagga. As an introduction as well as an approach, I would like to give you a brief introduction. Briefly, I would like to discuss today about these 3, and on the next day, I would like to focus my attention especially towards the Buddhist teachings about all these 3. First of all, let's see what are these 3. In the Acelaka Vagga, Buddha has mentioned Tisso ima bhikkave paṭipadā katamā tisso Āgāḷhā paṭipadā, Nijjhāmā Patipada, and Majjhimā Patipada. Then, what is this? These 3 practices. Buddha mentioned there are 3 practices. What 3? The addicted practice, the scorching practice, and the middle practice. The first one is Āgāḷhā Patipada, that is addicted practice. When Buddha explains this addicted practice, Buddha has mentioned some people are there, the people who are wishing to follow this addicted practice or Āgāḻhā Patipada, they are telling there's nothing wrong with sensual pleasures. As well, therefore they say, they throw themselves into sensual pleasures. This is called addicted practice. What is actually sensual pleasure? You know, generally we are having 6 senses: Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jivha, Kaya, and Mana. There are 5 physical senses and 1 mental sense. In these physical senses, as general beings, all of us like to get pleasures from these 5. From the eye, we wish to see rupa or forms, and from the ear, we wish to hear sounds. But when we hear or when we see forms, if those forms are pleasant for our eyesight, we like to see them. If they are not pleasant, sometimes we don't like to see them. Most of times we don't like to see them. Sometimes we close our eyes ourselves. If the sound is a bitter sound, if the sound is a bad sound, we are sometimes covering our ears also. All of us like to satisfy our senses. But here the problem is the people who are loving to show about this addicted practice or Āgāḻhā paṭipadā, they appreciate, they praise about the sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures, actually, pleasure means, you know, the happiness, as well calm, as well we can say as Samisa Sukha. Niramisa Sukha is always similar to Niramisa Sukha is dealing with Nibbana likewise. But Samisa Sukha means they are wishing to get mundane happinesses. We know, I wanted to say actually one thing. You may have heard about, there is a great discourse called Saccaka Sutta. In that sutta, Buddha has mentioned about the situation when the people are getting these sensual pleasures, how they are going to deal with those pleasures. Actually, the sutta says, when a pleasant feeling arises in an untaught ordinary person, his mind is not trained well, he is not practiced to train his mind well, then there is a problem. What's the problem? He lusts after the pleasure, he runs after the pleasure, and he continues to lust after pleasure. He searches for the pleasure. He don't like to remove or don't like to destroy that pleasure. He only wants to improve and he only wants to acquire the pleasure. From the first pleasant feeling, desire begins. From the first pleasant feeling, desire begins. Then what will happen? He runs after that desire. Because of the desire, he wants to get more and more satisfaction. Then he runs after things. That's why people even in modern society, they can't be satisfied or they can't be content with what they have. They are running after, every day running after something. If he has, if the individual has a car, he wants to buy some more expensive car. That's the way. That's the nature of the mind, actually. The problem here we can see is, if the mind is not trained well means here we don't get as Sovan or Arahants. But if we train our mind, if we try to train our mind, we can manage the feelings which are arising in our mind. That's why education, or that's why Buddha mentioned as untaught people or untaught ordinary person. Untaught means he should train his mind. He should teach his mind to balance the things. Otherwise, people are doing bad things. People are always doing wrong things. They only try to be satisfied with their happiness. They become selfish. That's a problem. The other side of this pleasure is, when a pleasant feeling or pleasure is arising in a person who has trained his mind, he can manage things. When the pleasure is disappearing, he also would feel the sorrow, but he can understand the reality. He manages the mind. He tries to think this is the nature. Then painful feelings would be there, but he can manage. That should be done by, especially by the Buddhist. As Buddhists, we should have that practice. We should have that ability. Here, we were discussing about Āgāḻhā Patipada. Āgāḻhā Patipada, I said about some people are admiring, praising sensual pleasure. Here I wanted to convey the meaning of sensual pleasure. That's why I mentioned certain things. That is actually not so good. If you know the Buddha's life story, you may have heard he rejected two types of extremes, two types of practices, addressing or mentioning them as extremes. Extremes means they are not suitable for following. You know, the first one is self-satisfaction, kama sukallika yoga, giving the sensual pleasure, sensual happiness to get the pleasures, to fulfill sensual needs, to be addicted to get the sensual pleasure. Buddha rejected that. Buddha said it is not good. It is not the way to find the truth and reality. It is not the way to find the peace of the mind. People would be happy with self-satisfaction, or we can say as self-indulgence also. People would be satisfied with that, but it is not admirable. It is not good. It is not the way to find the truth. Therefore, Buddha rejected himself that. He also experienced he also experienced self-indulgence. He had 3 types of palaces, as Ramya Suramya Subha. He had every types of happiness. He had everything which a mundane person should have, but he rejected everything and renunciated from his palace, because he himself experienced and understood this is not the way to find the truth and reality. The other one is Attakilamatana Yoga, self-mortification. Self-mortification is Attakilamatana Yoga. Earlier, the Brahmins, as well, the people who were trying to find truth and reality, they were practicing both these 2 types, self-indulgence as well self-mortification. Here I got the term actually to denote in Acelaka Vagga also it is mentioned. As I explained first, Āgāḻhā Patipada similar to self-indulgence. They are appreciating the sensual happiness. The next one can be equal to self-mortification actually. Nijjhāmā Patipada. Nijjhāmā Patipada also, Buddha rejected this. Nijjhāmā Patipada is not a good. It is just like self-mortification, giving a suffering to the body. It is useless. It is meaningless. Therefore, Buddha rejected this type of things. What is this Nijjhāmā Patipada actually? Nijjhāmā Patipada is a method or practice used by different types of ascetics, especially Acelakas also. Most of Acelakas followed this method. When we define the term Acelaka, actually they are the people who did not care about ethics and morality. Acelaka means they did not care about ethics and morality, what we care and what we accept as ethics and morality. For example, when they are eating, they are licking their hands. Sometimes when they go somewhere, they don't care about their dresses. Sometimes they are naked people. Not the all Acelakas, but most of them were naked. Some people were wearing very bad and very rough clothes. When we examine the sutta, when we see the sutta, we can see Ida bhikkave kaccho acelako hoti muttacharo hattapalekano na ehi badantiko na tittha badantiko. Likewise, there are a number of lists mentioned by the Buddha about the qualities of those, especially about those people who accepted Nijjhāmā Patipada, just like Acelaka and some different types of ascetics. They wanted to suffer their lives. Earlier I mentioned about Attakilamatanu Yoga. Attakilamatanu Yoga is Atta means actually self. Then Kilamata means we can define as to weaken, to make feeble or to weaken. Then Patipada means the practice. Then Attakilamatanu Yoga means they gave the idea, they have given the definition as the practice used to weak the self. Those ascetics who followed self-mortification or Attakilamatanu Yoga, they believed, they accepted by suffering, by make their body to suffer, they can finish the suffering. They can find a solution to the suffering. They can find a solution to the birth. They can finish the sansaric life by giving the suffering to the body. That's why they wanted to suffer the body. They didn't eat well. They did not want to bath. They did not want to wear clothes. They did not want to wear smooth clothes. They wanted to suffer their own bodies. They wanted to find the truth and reality by suffering their bodies. They did not want to do any other ways. The only thing they did those things, the main reason for doing these things was to suffer their bodies, and the reason for suffering their bodies is to finish the sansaric life or to weaken their souls, to weaken their sansaric existence. They believed, highly believed. Actually, they honestly did this. It is a great, huge sacrifice. It is not easy. Generally, it is very difficult even to think how they practice these types of things, how they suffered such, how they suffered in that manner their bodies. Hugely they suffered their body. They gave a huge suffer. But Buddha rejected them. Buddha did not accept. Buddha himself understood both these two extremes are, both these two practices are extremes. We should not follow these paths. We should follow the middle path. In the same sutta, he has explained about these three very clearly. First one we discussed is Āgāḻhā. The first one is we discussed this Āgāḻhā Patipada. It is about sensual pleasure, appreciating. The next one is about Nijjhāmā Patipada. Then here I want to say some more thing about this Nijjhāmā Patipada. Basically, you would have a certain idea what is this Nijjhāmā Patipada. In the Sutta, Buddha has mentioned the people who followed this Nijjhāmā Patipada, sometimes they were naked, sometimes they, after eating something, they licked their hands, no ethics. Sometimes they did not accept certain offerings what offered by the people before they are coming. In short, you can read that if you want to have a more identification or more introduction about these things, you can read in very simple English about Acelaka Vagga. Very clearly it is mentioned there. I will explain about the philosophical side, and I will explain about the essence. If you want what were their characteristics, Actually, it is better if you can follow that sutta. Already it is shared by our Mr. Leslie. Then one thing is about their food. They ate sometimes only one lump of food for a day. Sometimes for 2 days they didn't eat. Sometimes for 3 days they eat only once. Likewise, they suffered their body a lot. They wanted to find the truth and reality by suffering their bodies. In some ways we can see, you also may have heard, there were ascetics who were following these types of Nijjhāmā Patipada. They were eating their excrements, their own excrements. Sometimes they were eating cow dung, excrements of the oxen or cow. Very badly they suffered. They had food, even they had things to wear. They did not want to do those things because they wanted only to suffer the things, suffer their body, only to experience the suffering. The reason was to find the truth and reality by weakening their soul. They believed this is the way, this is the path. In Anguttara Nikaya, also in Chatukka Nipata, we can see the Buddha has rejected these things. These things means the Buddha rejected the people who suffered himself. You know, there are 4 types of people as Attantapa, Parantapa, Attantapacha, Parantapacha, as well Neva Attantapa, Na Parantapa. Attantapa means the person who harms himself, who suffers himself. Attantapa. He always giving suffering to his body. He don't eat well, he don't take a bath, he don't take a sleep, he don't take a rest, he don't wear a simple or good dressing or any covering for his body when he is going outside. He always try to make his body suffer. And sometimes in those periods, there were people who were suffering their own body from 5 sides. 5 sides. How they suffered their own body from 5 sides? They make to burn their body from 5 sides. Make to burn their body. Burn their body means they wanted to suffer their body, taking the painful feeling. How they burned their body from 5 sides. What are the 5 sides? From 4 directions, they fired some firings in front of, then behind the body as well, left side and right side. All 4 directions were covered through or covered with fires, huge fires. What is the 5th direction? 5th direction is upper side. On a sunny moment, the sun is brightening or sun is rising and giving the light very severely. Such an occasion, they, in the bare environment, they make 4 fires on 4 directions as well. The sun is burning his body from the upper side. Then these are the 5 directions. Then in this way, they have burned, they have made their body to suffer. They believed by suffering their own body, they can finish the sansaric life. They can find a solution for the suffering of the sansaric life. They can find a solution for the birth and existence. They are the people who were named by the Buddha as Attantapa. Buddha very badly rejected them. This is not good. This is not the way. they are very foolish people. Those methods are very foolish methods, not suitable methods. Then the next one is parantapa. Parantapa means he is not making him to suffer, but he is making others to suffer. He is giving suffering for others. He is giving, or he is badly treating for others. He don't treat well for others. He always find the suffering of others. Parantapa, he tries to give the suffering, give the bad feelings, give the pain for others. Such types of people also were rejected by the Buddha. Sometimes there are people, attantapa parantapacha. He suffers himself as well, make others also to suffer. Buddha rejected those type of peoples also. The fourth one, he was admired by the Buddha. Who is the fourth one? Neva attantapa na parantapa. He does not make himself to suffer, as well he does not make others to suffer. He is a person, we can say, as who admired the altruism. There are two concepts in Buddhism as egoistic and altruistic. As well, there is a concept in the society as selfish and selfless. Selfish is bad, selfless is good. Egoistic is thinking of himself, altruistic is thinking of others, but egoistic does not similar with selfish. Egoistic should be there, altruistic also should be there. According to Buddhism also, without egoistic views, it is difficult to make altruistic concept, so altruistic philosophy or view. Here I was mentioning about that Nijjhāmā Patipada. Then by explaining Nijjhāmā Patipada, I wanted to focus my attention why Buddha rejected, though, what was Buddha's view on this. Nijjhāmā Patipada means, then you know, it is the practice of making to be suffered, to be himself to suffer. Generally, the general translation for that is scorching practice. I don't know whether you are familiar with this English term, scorching practice. Scorching practice is nothing but it is the practice to make to be having a sufferful or suffering practice. That practice was rejected by the Buddha. In this sutta, Acelaka Vagga, Buddha has explained these three practices, but already I have discussed only two, Āgāḻhā Patipada, Nijjhāmā Patipada, and the final one is Majjhimā Patipada. Buddha rejected those two, Āgāḻhā Patipada, Buddha rejected, and Buddha critiqued, this is not good. This is a very bad concept. This is a very bad practice, just like Kama Sukallika Yoga, only finding the sensual happiness. Buddha rejected this. Buddha said, this is not good. This is not the way to find the truth and reality. This should be eradicated. This should be removed. And Nijjhāmā Patipada also was rejected by the Buddha. People were suffering their bodies without eating well, without dressing well, and without having sleep. Sometimes they were practicing the practices of certain animals. Sometimes they behaved like goats. They applied the lifestyle of goats. It is named as Ajavrutta. They followed the methods of goat. They ate like the goat. They ate the things what the goats are eating. They followed the daily routine of the goats. When just like goats, they experienced their lives. Sometimes they behaved like dogs. It's known as Sunaka Vruta or Kukkura Vruta. They applied the lifestyle of the dogs. They slept like dogs, and they ate like dogs. They wanted to eat like the dogs. They did not use their hands to eat. They used their mouth, and they ate the things what were spreading on the, what were put on the ground. They did not want to use plates, or they did not want to use hand. They followed the lifestyle of the dog, Kukkura. Why these things were done by them? Ajavruta, Govruta, Kukkura. There are many. They followed the lifestyle of those animals. They wanted to find the truth and reality by following these things. They wanted to, as I mentioned before also, I'm repeating again and again that things, because that was their view, that was their determination. Actually, it is a huge sacrifice. It is very difficult to do by the general people, but they did that because their ambition was to find a solution to the sansaric life. But Buddha rejected them, their style, as a bad style, unsuitable style, and unuseful style. As well, Buddha said, if they are following those styles, if they are behaving like goats, if they are behaving like dogs, if they are behaving like cows, what will happen? They are practicing the lifestyle of those animals. Then they automatically tend to get next births as such type of animals. It is very difficult even to think whether they will be at least human beings. No, because they practice the lifestyle of animals, then they automatically in their mind, in their body, they feel like animals. The next birth or next life of them definitely would be animals. If they practice dog style, Kukkura in this life, next life definitely he would be a dog. That would happen. Buddha explained that. That is not good to practice. That is not the way to find the truth and reality. They made a huge attempt, but Buddha rejected as they were not useful. Then the method Buddha appreciated is Majjhimā Patipada, middle path. You know about middle path. As devotees, you are always hearing Dhamma discussions. You are listening to different types of preachings, different types of preachers. You might have at least simple identification of middle path. Middle path is Majjhimā Patipada. It is also a practice explained in this Tikkanipāta Acelaka Vagga. Buddha rejected the first two Āgāḻhā Patipada, then Nijjhāmā Patipada, and Buddha appreciated Majjhimā Patipada. Then addicted practice is the given translation for Āgāḻhā Patipada. Scorching practice is the given translation for Nijjhāmā Patipada. Then for the Majjhimā Patipada, it is the middle path. I wish to discuss about middle path next day, because it is the essence of this Acelaka Vagga. It is the most useful and it is the meaningful doctrine of this area. Others are the background actually. Now we have a clarification, or we have a clear idea on this background of these practices. Next day also I have discussion with you. Then I wish to discuss with you deeply about Majjhimā Patipada, middle path. In simply, I will make a short introduction on Majjhimā Patipada. Majjhimā Patipada is the practice or method appreciated by the Buddha by rejecting both sensual self-indulgence and self-mortification. Just like Āgāḻhā Patipada I explained, it is just similar to self-indulgence. Nijjhāmā Patipada, it is also just similar to self-mortification. Buddha rejected those two and introduced and adapted himself. He adapted Majjhimā Patipada. You should keep in mind Majjhimā Patipada is not a mixture of those two. Sometimes people would feel the Majjhimā Patipada as a mixture of those two. It is in the Majjhimā Patipada there would be a little from sensual indulgence or self-indulgence and a little from self-mortification. No, Majjhimā Patipada is a separate path. Majjhimā Patipada is a supra path, or it is the noble path. It is a noble path accepted by the Buddha. Next day we can discuss about the qualities, characteristics and the nature of Majjhimā Patipada and what are the doctrines covered in the Majjhimā Patipada, especially about Noble Eightfold Path and the quality of Nibbana and why Buddha adapted Majjhimā Patipada. We can discuss on next day as the time also running fast. I think I will have to wind up my Dhamma discussion. Therefore, after answering your questions, I think I will be able to transfer merits for and thank everyone. On the next day, let's discuss on Majjhimā Patipada deeply. Until then, I think now I can wind up my Dhamma discussion. If you have any question, you can ask from me.
Thank you, Bhante, for your elaborate sharing just now. Now we would like to open it up for Q&A. Bhante, we have got one question here from Brother Leslie. Let me show it to you. Brother Leslie asked, Bhante, isn't it a good training to experience both extreme pleasure and self-mortification before appreciating what is the middle practice on the path to Nibbana? Bhante, let's listen.
Yes, I am reading the question again because a long question. Good training to experience. No, it is not a good training. Actually, Buddha himself, for example, you can think without eating cake, how you can say about cake, the taste of the cake? By experiencing both self-mortification and self-satisfaction. Buddha said those are useless. I also have the experiences on them. Then people can understand he is, that's why you know about, I don't know whether I am giving a long answer. You may know about 5 types of scenes, 4 scenes made by the Buddha. He considered about the mother, considered about the time, then considered about the land where he should be born, considered about the time when he should be born, then he considered about the desha means the area where he should be born, then he considered about the caste where he should be born, then he considered even about the mother who should be his mother when he becomes a Buddha. Why he wanted to foresee these 5? Because I can spend actually 1 hour by explaining this, because he wanted to, if he was born in a poor family, will the people accept his preaching? He's a royal king, he's a royal son. Therefore, people were ready to listen him. If he was born in a very poor family, definitely his preaching, his doctrine would not spread, at least even in India. But now, all over the world, Buddhism is accepted as a great preaching, great doctrine. Those 5 types of sins also, 4 sins also, were reasons, were influence for such things. Thank you. Yeah, that's why, yes, thank you very much, Brother David, for, I think he's a brother, for asking such a question. Actually, it is very difficult. With this, we are running after sensual things. We are finding sensual pleasure. We are not being satisfied with what we have. We are trying to gather more and more. It is very difficult to practice and study. But the way is, earlier I mentioned when I was discussing about sensual pleasure, for the untaught ordinary person, for the untrained mind, it is very difficult to balance his mind when he is losing, or when he is not having the pleasure what he wants to get. The person who is having an untrained mind, he always becoming suffering, and sometimes he would try to suicide. But the person who trains his mind, who tries to train his mind, he can balance the things, he can manage the things. He also would feel the suffering, but he can manage by thinking, this is the reality, I have to face the reality. That is the only way within this current situations and current life and current society. Thank you.
Bhante, thank you very much. I would like to invite Bhante to perform an Anumodana for the departed beings and also transference of merits to the Devas. With your permission, Bhante.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Venerable Pusale Vinitha Thera. He is one of my best friend. He is the friend who introduced me to Brother Leslie. Therefore, I would like to thank for my best friend, one of my best friend, Pusale Vinitha Thera, who is working as a lecturer. Currently, he is working as a lecturer in Nagananda University. I thank himself a lot. I thank him a lot. As well, Brother Leslie, for his kind support and everything. As well, our host, I think Miss Geena, as I remember. I would like to thank her also. As well for the Buddhist Mahavihara and for the Mahasangha in Buddhist Mahavihara, and all of you, I would convey my thank, and I wish you all the best. Now let's transfer merits to the gods, and in this 2021 year would be a very, I wish to be a very happy, healthy, wealthy year for all of you, and God also would protect us, protect the Dhamma, protect the Buddhist order, protect the Mahasangha, and protect all the world and all the beings. Let's transfer the merits to the gods to get these merits and meritorious deeds what we have collected, and to protect all of us. Āgāḷhā ca Bhummaṭṭhā Devā Nāgā Mahiddhikā Puññantaṃ Anumoditvā Chiraṃ rakhantu sāsanam chirang rakhantu desanam chirang rakhantu tvang sadati. As well, we can transfer merits to the to our departed loved ones. Let's transfer merits. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhitā hontu ñātayo. Finally, let's wish the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Idamme puññaṁ āsavakkaya vahanhotu. Idamme puññaṁ āsavakkaya vahanhotu. Idamme puññaṁ āsavakkaya vahanhotu. Sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Now I wish to bless you in this way. Abhivādana sīlisa niccang vaddhāpacāyino cattaro dhamma vaddanti āyuvanno sukhang balang āyurārogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca atho nibbāna sampatti mināte samijjatu. Wish you all the best and wish to have a healthy, wealthy, long life.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Bhante, for your time and for your sharing. I would like to take this opportunity to also thank Brother Leslie for giving me this opportunity to host for the second time. I would certainly like to host more. Do join us again next Friday at same time, 8:30 p.m. for the second part, yeah, Bhante?
Yes, sure. Right? Yes.
The second part of the same sutta. Before we leave, I would like to take this opportunity also on behalf of the monks and committee management of Buddhist Mahavihara, thank Bhante for your time. We would also like to thank the sponsors, Go Chong Bin and Tiong Silan. Secondly, in memory of Kam Chui Swan, and thirdly, Chong Yin Fa. Last but not least, I would like to thank brothers and sisters for joining us tonight. Do join us again this Sunday, same time, 8:30 p.m. right here at this channel, for another Dhamma sharing. So thank you so much. We have come to the end. Thank you so much, Bhante.
Thank you very much, and Sukhi Hotu. Good night.
Sukhi Hotu. Good night.